Hey, hey, hey. Happy Wednesday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, 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 gang. Yes, I'm Jeff McAleer, back once again as your host here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch. Coming to you live from the Duct Tape Studios once again. I'm Jeff McAleer. I am your host. I am also the Grand Poobah of the Gaming Gang. So welcome aboard. Happy Hump Day. Because tonight is live stream 582. And it is Wednesday, December 2nd, 2020. So if this is your first time joining me, let me point out, it's very, very casual. We just hang out, talking about tabletop gaming, sharing the news. Every once in a while, a little pop culture pops up. Pop culture pops up. Yeah, okay. And of course, sometimes we talk a little PC gaming, usually on Thursdays when we have freebies over at the Epic Games Store. But for the most part, it's all tabletop gaming around these here parts. So welcome aboard if this is your first time joining me. And of course, if you are a longtime viewer, thanks for coming back. And of course, if you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, ding that bell, because not only will it let you know when the dispatch streams live Monday through Thursday nights right here on YouTube, it'll also let you know when I upload other videos as well, such as my recent review of Dune Imperium from Direwolf Digital and Legendary Pictures. So check that out. If you have any interest in the game, I give you a bit of a how to play, kind of a high level how to play, and then share my review score, tell you what I think about it as well. And of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in gaming news, reviews, comics, movies, TV. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. And of course, because this is a live stream, that also means that chat is available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways that I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay, but I do my best to follow chat. So if you want to say howdy, or maybe you got a question, a comment, by all means, please chime in. I'll do my best to respond. So far, let's see, who was the first out the gate? Scott Weagle, my pal from high school, was first out saying hello. Ibram is in chat. The Madman has returned to join us once again. A Great A's in chat. Kabuki Kid Double K in the house. Viper Dave is here as well. So, Kabuki Kid says, light seems a little bright again. Ah, for crying out loud. Double K, you're always harassing me about this lighting. Jeez. It's probably one of two things. Hang on. I had to move the light when I was shooting some video, so that may be why it was awfully bright. That looks a little better. So, everybody's a critic. Everybody, what are y'all, cinematographers out there? Come on. So it's not a white balance thing. It's just a lighting thing. Yeah, and Kabuki Kid says, yeah, notice that in the Dune video too. I had to arrange the lighting like that to get actually some pop out of the overhead camera, because even if you check out the Dune video, Doom Imperium, I should say, it looks a little dark. So Scott says it could be my attempt at a kabuki show without the pancake makeup. Well, no, I've got the pancake makeup. It's just I don't have like the eyeliner and the red paint and things like that. Yikes. Anyway, before we jump into the news, one thing I did want to mention. So at the end of last show, well, actually about like the last half of the show yesterday, was talking about Wizards of the Coast being sold, the possibility of it being sold. I don't want anybody to have the impression that I've got an issue with Wizards of the Coast. I don't. Wizards of the Coast has always been very nice to me. Their PR company that they utilize has always been super nice. So no, I don't have a beef with Wizards of the Coast. Outside of the fact that I do think they're taking this wokeness thing just way too far. Way too far. Now, on the flip side of that, if you watch the show, if you check out my videos, if you've ever encountered me at a convention, you know that I am a firm believer in inclusion and welcoming everybody to the game table. I'm not here to be a gatekeeper. I am here to promote the hobby, but not bullshit you at the same time, right? I'm here to, speak truth to the hobby. Just, But I do think that we do have, especially in role-playing games and role-playing circles, not in board gaming and miniatures so much, but in role-playing games, we have this like new wave of people joining the hobby who are creating solutions to problems that didn't exist just so they can be the problem solvers. And I do see this a lot from this generation where it's like, oh, well, we solved that issue. Well, it wasn't really an issue. Now, that's not to say that over the years, over the decades, that there have not been a lot of jerks in the hobby. That there have not been people who were trying to keep people out of the hobby, just not to the extent that some of these people make it. It's like, come on. So Ibram says, dangerous territory, rough waters ahead. What are they talking about now? That's like get woke, go broke, something like that. I don't buy into that either. It's like, you have to, you have to go through life without blinders on. You have to see what's in front of you and to the side of you. So I do believe that companies do need to address a lot of issues. We as Americans have to address a lot of issues that have not seen the light of day in the past. But as far as our hobby goes, it has been pretty inclusive because the funny thing is, if we weren't inclusive, none of us would be in this hobby. That's what I don't understand. When I run across people talking about, oh, well, all these gatekeepers to role-playing games. If that was the case, then that wouldn't even be a genre anymore. It would have been, D&D would have dried up and died, along with RuneQuest and Call of Cthulhu and GURPS and everything else. All right, so Mr. Eddie T has joined us in chat. I believe this might be Mr. Eddie T's first visit with us here on the live stream. So welcome aboard. Make yourself comfortable. Yes, and Eddie T just said, first time in chat. See, it's funny because a lot of times I'll be like, oh, I think this is so-and-so's first visit. And they're like, no, I've been in chat before. It's like, sorry. All right, so let's jump on into the news because arriving later this month is Kingdom Rush Rift in Time. Here's the dope from Lucky Duck Games. Welcome to Kingdom Rush Rift in Time, where you and your allies must work together to fend off the furious onslaught of the mysterious Time Mage. Damn you, Time Mage! I feel like goofing off tonight. I just really do. Command heroes and build towers. Defend the realm by placing polyomino pieces to attack your enemies and deploying soldiers to hold back the ever-advancing horde. Be careful, though. The Time Mage's portals are wreaking havoc, causing all the towers to warp in and out of existence. Will you play your towers to defend the kingdom, or will you pass them to your compatriots so that the towers can be upgraded? The decision is yours. Play through a unique campaign to foil the Time Mage's plan for total domination of the space-time continuum. Guess the Time Mage is battling it out with the Daleks, eh? Each new scenario in the campaign is more challenging than the one before it, introducing formidable foes, game-changing events, and epic bosses to battle. The only way to stop the Time Mage is to close all of their pesky portals, but you'll have to do so while combating wave after wave of their minions. Fight back with unique heroes, special abilities, and an awesome arsenal of upgradable towers. The Time Mage will stop at nothing as they try to take over the kingdom, and neither should you. Archers ready! Kingdom Rush Rift in Time is for 1 to 4 players, ages 10 and up. Plays around 45 to 90 minutes. It's going to carry an MSRP of $59.90 when it arrives later on this month. Kabuki Kid just tossed a comment out here that I am 100% behind, because it's the first thing that I was thinking too when I saw this news piece. Kabuki Kid says, polyominoes are the new black. Yes, everything seems to be polyominoes. Not everything, but we are seeing lots of it. So, okay, so Great A's like My City and Barron Park and a bunch of Uwe Rosenberg games, like 4 of them, I think. I think all of Uwe's Seasons games that he was doing for Stronghold. I haven't seen something from Stronghold in so long. I forgot Stronghold games. Sorry, Stephen Bonacore, who's no longer, with them, but he retired so he could be a podcaster, so he could steal my thunder. Not that I do a podcast anymore. So, yes, Kabuki Kid says, yeah, like the last batch of Uwe's games, which are fine. I don't have an issue with it, but it's every time you turn around, all these games are like, whoa, with polyominoes. It's like, okie dokie. Moving her along. Next spring, we'll see the release of Night of the Ninja. I've got the news from Brotherwise Games. Night of the Ninja, not Night of the Hunter, is a fast-paced game of deadly secrets, midnight assassinations, and paper-thin alliances. In Night of the Ninja, not Night of the Comet, your mission is to defeat a rival ninja house. If you can figure out who they are, each round you choose your ninja role. A spy or fortune teller gains valuable information, but only a shinobi or blind assassin can cut down an opponent. To win, you'll have to trick your opponents, figure out who can't be trusted, and fight for your house. Night of the Ninja supports, not Night of the Demon, supports 4 to 11 players, and a single round can play out within 5 minutes. Created by Justin Gary, it's designed to appeal to anyone from novice gamers to social deduction enthusiasts. Every card features papercraft art by Ben Charman, intricately hand-cut and photographed to create a unique, evocative visual style. Night of the Ninja, I've run out of Night of the movies, offers several twists on the social deduction genre. The team-based play means you can win honor even if you die, as long as your house prevails. Each round begins by drafting ninja cards, and no role is strictly better than others. The deadliest cards are also the last to be played, and gathering information can be as valuable as assassinating another player. Night of the Ninja contains everything needed for up to 11 players. 33 ninja cards, 11 house cards, 11 player standees, and 35 honored tokens. This game is, once again, for 4 to 11 players, ages 12 and up. Plays in as few as 5 minutes, as many as 30 minutes. It's going to carry an MSRP of $24.95 when it arrives in the spring. I like the art style. The art style looks kind of cool. I got to be honest. We were just talking about the Polyomino games. I'm getting a little burned out about all these social deduction games as well. There is just a lot of social deduction games that are not only out right now, but coming on the horizon as well. Now, I know a lot of people like those games. I am not bashing them whatsoever. It just seems like it's like a thing going on right now. I don't know. So it is Wednesday. I always like to share some wargaming news on Wednesdays. I'm not so great at the social distancing games. Usually I'm talking about GMT games, but today I am not. Because available from Hollandspiele is the solitaire wargame Aurelian, Restorer of the World. So let's learn more about it. The Roman Empire is broken. The crisis of the 3rd century, a decades-long fever dream of civil war, plague, and economic ruin, oh, the good old days, stretched it thinner and thinner until finally, inevitably, it splintered. The Palmyrene Empire to the east, the Gallic Empire to the west, and sandwiched between them, the remnants of the Roman Empire. Deprived of its richest provinces and stuck in a series of endless wars along the frontier, it seemed destined to fall at last. But in 270, when the emperor died, troops along the Danube did what troops along the Danube always did, and demanded that their commander take the purple. His name was Lucius Domitius Aurelianus. Beats me. Aurelianus. Yowza. See, his shorter imperial name is far easier to pronounce. We'll just say that Lucius guy. Over the course of his short reign, he would do the impossible. He would put this broken world back together again. Aurelian, Restorer of the World, is a solitaire game from Tom Russell, designer of Agricola, not that Agricola, Master of Britain, and Charlemagne, Master of Europe. Like those titles, 3 cups are used to represent shifting attitudes toward Aurelian's rule. Actions you take will move chits from one cup to another. This game is shorter and faster than the 2 previous games, lasting a maximum of 6 turns. It's also more difficult. Beyond marching around the map, quelling revolts, and smacking down usurpers, you must manage monies, maintain a strong defensive line along the Danube, make war against Germanic tribes, build up city defenses, and spread the cult of Sol Invictus. You do not have nearly enough time or resources to do all of these things equally well, and will need to make hard choices. If you succeed, you'll earn the title afforded to Aurelian by the Senate, Restitutor Orbis, Restorer of the World. Aurelian, Restorer of the World, is for a single player. It's a solitaire game. Ages 14 and up. That's my call. Plays in around an hour and is currently on sale for $35 from Hollandspiele. It does carry a regular MSRP of $40. In fact, I want to say almost either all of the games or almost all of the games over at Hollandspiele is on sale, or I should say are on sale this week. So it is okay, they were on sale today. Today is not Cyber Monday, so I'm thinking it might be a Cyber Week sale. But as of right now, it's $35. I have reviewed one Hollandspiele game, and that was Fred Manzo, and it was, I can't remember the name now. It was pretty good. It was pretty good. It was a solitaire game. It was science fiction, kind of like Gonzo, a little Gonzo-ish to it. where you had to have your Space Marines infiltrate this prison to break this princess out, and not only were you taking care of your soldiers inside, you also had your ship that was like blasting away at defenses that were on the surface of this. It was like a prison moon. Something isn't Escape from Hades? Is that it? I think that might be the name of it. It was pretty good. I liked it. That's the only Hollandspiele game I've ever actually played. All right, so let's talk about some role-playing game news. Actually, before I jump into that, so Kabuki Kid asks, is this like a State of Siege game? It looks like it might be. So talking about social distancing games, horseshoes, fencing. I don't know, fencing you're fairly close up. So Grade A says they have Solitaire Caesar and Reconquista solo games, and they're good. Nice. The flash on those chits is driving me crazy. Yeah, well, it is, if I remember correctly, Hollandspiele does the same kind of like laser cutting on their counters as Victory Point Games used to do. And yeah, they kind of end up having a kind of an odd cut to them a little bit. All right, Grade A says they've got Wars of Marcus Aurelius, but they haven't played it yet. Nice. All right, now let's jump into some role-playing game news because there is a new bundle of holding that's arrived. This one features the Spire role-playing game from Rowan, Rook, and Descartes. Boy, he was my favorite Star Trek captain. Love Captain Descartes. Here's the skinny on the bundle. Adventura. This Spire bundle features, obviously enough, Spire, the urban industrial fantasy punk tabletop role-playing game co-designed by Grant Howitt with Chris Taylor. Inspire, the mile-tall city of 1,000 gods, you're a dark elf who has joined the Ministry Resistance movement to overthrow your cruel high elf overlords. Subvert, intrigue, and fight your way from the subterranean levels of Derelictus and Red Row up to the frozen reaches of Amaranth and New Haven in a superbly imaginative, weird fantasy setting funded in a July 2017 Kickstarter campaign. This new offer presents much of the Spire line, everything you need to lead your own revolt. For just $12.95, you get all 3 titles in the starter collection with a retail value of $45 as DRM-free PDFs or audio tracks, including the complete Spire the City Must Fall core rulebook previously presented in the November 2018 Indie Cornucopia 6. Indie Cornucopia 8 is going on right now, still over at Drive-Thru RPG, or not Drive-Thru, Bundle Holding, I should say. Also includes the Strata sourcebook and 3 campaign frameworks to help you start playing fast. Blood and Dust, Eidolon Sky, and Kings of Silver. If you pay more than the threshold price of $21.95, you'll level up and also get the entire bonus collection with 6 more titles worth an additional $35, including the scenarios and source books, Shadow Operations, Black Magic, Codex of the Deep Spire, Book of Masks, and Secrets Kept from the Sun, plus 7 MP3 tracks of atmospheric ambient sounds from Tabletop Audio, previously available only as a Kickstarter backer reward and not sold anywhere else. This offer also includes a discount code good through January 11th, 2021 for 20% off all purchases of Spire print products at the Rowan, Rook, and Descartes web store. These savings do run through December 20th. 10% of your payment after gateway fees will be donated to this offer's pandemic-related charity, Direct Relief. Nice. Cool bundle. I have heard good things about Spire. I've never taken a peek at it, but I have heard pretty good things. I heard good things about Spire, and I heard good things about Strata. And I'm kind of curious if the Chris Taylor they talk about in not not necessarily a co-designer, but he is mentioned with like a designer credit. I wonder if it's the same Chris Taylor who used to design games for Victory Point Games. Nemo's War is a Chris Taylor design. I would take a guess it's probably the same Chris Taylor, because I know Chris Taylor did PC games as well back in the day. So kind of curious. I remember meeting Chris at what was it? Consim Expo out in Tempe, Arizona. Got to sit down and actually play test the game that they never ended up producing. So it's like, okay. So there's a nice bundle of holding. Kabuki Kid says, love Nemo's War, just back the new expansion. Cool deal. Well, I'll tell you what, you will not be seeing me sharing news about Victory Point Games in the future, because the fine folks over at Tabletop Tycoon are jerk-offs. So I'm not covering any of their stuff anymore, which kind of sucks because Starling Games is part of that. And I love the Everdell stuff. But yeah, I had reached out to them and I said, yeah, I'm really surprised that you didn't include our review of Nemo's War in your Kickstarter, because it's been included all the other times that there's been any Kickstarters for Nemo's War. And I said, you know, if it weren't for the Gaming Gang, that game would have never been on people's radar. Well, it probably would have been on some people's radars back in the day. But just like Dawn of the Zeds, nobody wanted to touch Dawn of the Zeds until we did a review of it back when it was in a Ziploc bag and stuff. So yeah, I was real nice about when I reached out, and they were complete jerk-offs in the response. So I'm like, bye, see ya. Oh, well. So Madman says, I love the game and back the new expansion too. It is a good game. I really do like it. So a Great A says, are you talking about the new Kickstarter Deluxe Superfied Edition? Yeah, it's just an expansion that's up, but it's, just on top of the other stuff that they've released as well. So I had some Paizo news yesterday. I've got some Paizo news today because they've announced the first standalone adventure for Starfinder. Here's the scoop on Junker's Delight. We've been publishing adventures for Starfinder in the form of Adventure Path volumes since the game's launch 3 years ago, but we're excited to announce a new line of standalone adventures for Starfinder coming next year. Our first offering, Junker's Delight, I wonder if that's got anything to do with Rapper's Delight, is scheduled for July 2021. Written by Starfinder developer Jason Keeley with Misha Bushyager, this first level adventure puts player characters in the role of junk tourists. We're junk tourists on the red planet of Akaton, searching for riches in the graveyard of crashed starships just outside the settlement of Kifak Depot. What? Kifak Depot. Like, geez, can't read that? Another new adventure follows Junker's Delight in September 2021. So keep your communications channels open for further details on this adventure and more to come in the future. The first standalone adventure for the Starfinder RPG is coming soon. Centuries ago, the Stellar Flare, a science vessel researching the strange dimension known as the Drift, crashed on the surface of Akaton. Now, Vari 13, an android with a claim to the Stellar Flare, wants to find the wreck and rescue its valuable research. But Vari 13 will need help, and that's where your heroes come in. The Stellar Flare's remains lie in the middle of an enormous junk field filled with malfunctioning technology, inhabited by predatory creatures, and fought over by territorial space goblins. And there are whispers of an enormous robot made entirely of junk that wanders the scrapyards, immune to magic and eager to destroy everything in its path. Well, it can't be whispers because we're looking at the giant robots in the cover artwork right here. Can your heroes broker a peace, reach the wreckage, and defend it against an army of scavengers? Junker's Delight is a complete Starfinder adventure for first-level characters. Features strange new alien creatures, new spells, and equipment, keeping in mind those spells are not going to work on that giant robot. And an in-depth look at Kefak Depot, a rough and tumble Akatonian settlement home to countless adventures. Junker's Delight is going to arrive in July. It's going to carry an MSRP of $22.99. I'm glad that Paizo's going to release some standalone Starfighter adventures. They've been doing it for Pathfinder since the beginning of time. In fact, when second edition Pathfinder came out, one of the first things that was out alongside that core book was a standalone adventure with the Plague Stone adventure. And it's taken them 3 years to do a standalone adventure for Starfighter. I find that kind of unusual. Outside of, obviously enough, the free RPG day sort of adventures as well. All right. Anyway, so there is still some discussion about Nemo's War, it looks like. So everybody's talking about it. He's like, okay, I'll continue to ignore that game. After everybody's like kind of chimed in and told them about what it is. Alrighty. So anyway, I was gonna say that's kind of cool. I'm glad to see Paizo doing that. I wish I had more artwork, but actually, they had the artwork where it's the mock-up of the cover, so it had the Starfinder logo and everything, and it was tiny. It was like a postage stamp practically. So I was able to find the artwork that's on the cover. So this is the artwork from the cover. It's just not, it's, I guess, in comic book terms, this would be a virgin cover. Oh my goodness. Moving on to our last news piece, now available in PDF from Monte Cook Games, is Godforsaken. Here are the details. Dragons, magic wands, singing swords, and flying carpets. And above all, heroes. What fantasy worlds inspire you? The classic high fantasy of Tolkien, Zelazny, or Jordan? Hopefully not Jordan. Modern fantasy like the Harry Potter series, the Dresden Files, or Buffy the Vampire Slayer? Paranormal romance? The whimsy of settings like Discworld or The Dark Crystal? Wuxia, swords and sorcery, or gritty, low magic settings? Fantasy, tales of heroes, monsters, and magic, is arguably the oldest genre of human fiction. It's also the genre that first inspired us to step into imaginary worlds through role-playing games, and it remains the most popular type of role-playing game setting. Godforsaken takes the Cypher system on a deep dive into the infinite variety of fantasy realms, with rules, character options, gear, and a complete ready-to-use setting that makes the most of the fantasy genre. Whatever fantasy setting you envision, the Cypher system can take you there. Godforsaken includes rules for treasure, traps, magic, and other topics particular to fantasy gaming. New playable species, along with new foci, guidelines for adapting existing foci to fantasy use, and advice for building common fantasy character types in the Cypher system. Dozens of fantasy creatures and NPCs, including the Basilisk, Lich, Manticore, Elementals, Wyvern, and more. Plus scores of new ciphers and artifacts. Discussion of the many varieties and subgenres of fantasy, along with resources for inspiration. The complete Godforsaken setting, characters seek glory and wealth as they venture into the Godforsaken lands, leaving behind the protection and blessings of their gods, but there is more to these dimensions than they can possibly be prepared for. This also includes 2 full-length adventures for use in the Godforsaken setting or your own campaign, plus 3 Cypher shorts. Godforsaken is a setting and supplement for the Cypher system. It requires the Cypher system rulebook for play. This 224-page PDF of Godforsaken is available at Drive-Thru RPG right now for $18.99. Nice. Funny enough, though, when Monte Cook left Wizards of the Coast and branched out and launched Monte Cook Games, I could have swore Monte talked about how he did not want to go back to doing any of that traditional kind of fantasy. It was like, no, this going to all be different. He sure has been coming back to fantasy lately, right? Like high fantasy, epic fantasy, D&D sort of fantasy. So I'm kind of like, well, like, I guess I'm going to have to assume that, he's kind of lightened up a little bit, maybe. I don't know. Because, I mean, they are releasing 5e stuff. So didn't think that would be happening when he first left Wizards. All right, so Flaming Huron is in chat with us. So yes, the assumption is they meant Robert Jordan. Yes, they did mean Robert Jordan. Of course, talking about Drive-Thru RPG, the Dispatch, and of course the Gaming Gang are affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you are going to go visit any of those sites, say, I don't know, Drive-Thru RPG, please be sure to visit thegaminggang.com first. You'll see banner ads. Click on one of our ads. That way, if you do happen to make a purchase, I get a little sliver of that sale. And all those little slivers add up to a piece of pie and really helps keep the Gaming Gang around. And there are a lot of people who do that. So, very cool. All right. So, let's see. Let's finish up with chat here. So, Flaming Huron asks, am I not a fan of Robert Jordan? Not really. For one, Wheel of Time was supposed to be a trilogy. And then it was like, well, this is just a moneymaker, so I'm just going to stretch this out as far as I can. In fact, he didn't even get to finish. So, had to have Brandon Sanderson finish it up. I read the first 3 books, and then it was like everything just seemed to be spinning its wheels. I didn't really care much for his characterization of the women in the series. Never rung true. I mean, I don't hate him. I mean, I know there are a lot of people I shouldn't say a lot. There are people out there who can't stand Robert Jordan books. But no, I'm not. So, anyway, but one thing I did notice, taking a look at that news piece, there was no mention of any like classic outside of Tolkien. There was no mention of any classic fantasy. It was, I'll jump back here. So I know it was Buffy. Let's see. So we've got, Zelazny's a stretch, though. There are not a lot of people who know who Robert Zelazny is. There are a lot of people out there reading fantasy and that who are like, huh? And big fans of fantasy or science fiction, and they wouldn't know who he is. I got to be honest, I don't think I've ever read anything by Zelazny. I think he's one of the few authors out there that I never read. Just never had a chance. Just never stumbled across it. So, so we got Jordan, and then like Harry Potter, Dresden Files. Really? Dresden Files? Buffy the Vampire Slayer? Discworld? Yes. But I mean, if you're pitching a fantasy game, are you going to refer to Discworld? I mean, Discworld is more satire, especially after the, first 6-7 books. It's really, really steeped in satire. I don't know. I gotta say, I always dig the artwork from Monte Cook Games. They always have really good artwork. Like I said, I'm not trying to dissuade anybody from checking this out because it actually looks kind of cool. All I'm saying is I'm kind of surprised how there's really no mention of, well, I guess if first liber would be swords and sorcery. Maybe they're not looking at us. Maybe they're going more high fantasy than anything else. But then they even talk about low fantasy in the news piece. So I don't know. All right. So Mr. Eddie T says that they loved the Mazes review from the other day and actually ordered a copy. Thank you very much. Glad you enjoyed it. I have enjoyed it as well. What I tell people, and I know, I'm sure some of you out there are sick of me telling you, if one of my reviews or a news piece or something I cover leads you to purchase something, let that company know. Because I got to be honest, a lot of these companies are not real slick on their social media presence. I'm not great at it either, but I'm amazed when I'll see companies. I'll do a review and it's wow, yeah, really liked it. They don't even retweet it, nothing. But again, they didn't pay me. They didn't have to pay me like other outlets out there. So a lot of times, maybe they forget. But yes, I really enjoyed it. And I talked to Heather O'Neill over at Ninth Level Games, and she said that they are going to release like the digests. They've got some like zines, like 5 zines that they were working on that they kickstarted, and those are supposed to be coming out first quarter of next year. She said she was going to make sure to get those out to take a look at, and that they're going to put all of the books together in a hardcover, and I think they're going to kickstart that. So, Grade A asks, isn't there a Wheel of Time movie or series coming? I thought they had one in the works. I thought it was a series. And I think they pulled the plug on it. I think they pulled the plug on it after the Shannara series didn't do anything over at MTV. Although it was like, why would MTV put that on? I mean, okay, we do understand it was like, oh, gotta get on the Game of Thrones train. But MTV? Granted, they don't show videos anymore. It's not about music. So Grade A says Shannara was horrible. So Grade A says it's supposed to be an Amazon Prime series. I mean, it might still be in production. I don't know. But I thought I remember reading something where they were really pulling back after Shannara flopped. I know we've got well, it's not really, I don't think it's not Lord of the Rings, it's just Tolkien. We've got Middle Earth, that's coming from Amazon. So, I don't know. The Madman asks, was there a 3 or 3.5 D&D edition of Wheel of Time that they bailed on after 2 books? I don't know. I will be the first to point out that from early days of 2nd edition through 4, I know almost nothing about Dungeons and Dragons. Just wasn't around. So Kabuki Kid says Silmarillion stories or something. Oh gosh, awful. Yeah, no thanks. It's like they were talking about. Oh, they found a new Tolkien book, and I'm like, oh, it's not. Yeah, it's not J.R.R. It's Christopher. I'll pass. All right. Anyway, so that is it for tonight's news. All right. Anything cooking in chat? Anybody want to tackle? We got a few more minutes to go. I want to point out that I didn't like the fact that the stream dropped last night. And the funny thing is, it dropped on YouTube. It never dropped in my software. Never showed that it was a drop. It showed that we were at an hour, 2 minutes at the end, which if it drops on my end, it'll show this disconnected, and it still streams, but it'll show it like a brand new stream. So it would start at 0 and start, clocking through that. So I don't know. So Ibram says, I just noticed the string of lights. Yeah, and just doing it's little, it's holidays. It's holiday season. I've done this past couple of years. Once December 1st rolls around, I put like a little overlay of the lights, and I put this stuff. A Great A's actually asking me if there's going to be an auction this year. I think so. I think so. Kabuki Kid says, show the mug. Show the mug! With an exclamation point. And I even took a razor to the bottom and still couldn't get the whole thing off with the price code. Drove me nuts. I spent 10 minutes doing that. I'm like, screw it. I am going to try to do an auction. The only problem is doing the auction, I have to drag a bunch of stuff out. I have a certain amount of time that I can devote to the gaming gang and this stream and shooting videos and stuff like that. And gotta be honest, it's like if I'm doing the auction stuff, it's gonna end up taken away from it. But I really do want to. The other thing is shipping stuff out is such a pain, especially you got to go. Well, I mean, I've got boxes, but I won't have enough boxes for everything. But yes, I think I will do it. I will start taking stuff out this weekend. Because what I'd like to do is I'd just like to, put it up on the website. I'm not going to go on eBay or anything like that. What I think I'm going to do, which is what I did last year, is just post images of the games and say, okay, this is the opening bid. And you got to remember, I'm not gonna sit there and be like, oh yeah, it's this $100 game, $5. I usually I started off at about half the MSRP, unless it's out of print. Then it may be a little more than half. But you got to remember, my games don't get beat up because even games that I really love don't get to the table as much as they would with other gamers because I'm doing other reviews of stuff. So, yeah, I will. I promise I'll get a wave out there. But what I was thinking of doing is just having it for a week, maybe 10 days. And then in the comments section, you just say, okay, hey, I would like this. I would like this. Somebody outbids you, well, then, you get outbid. You can bid again. But, so Ibram says, I'd give you some stuff to auction, but I already did my purge. No, please, I don't want things to auction. I got enough stuff to auction. I don't need other people. Thank you. I do appreciate that, but no, please. And I think maybe early next year, I might do a Kickstarter, but something little. I think I might have like a $5,000 goal or something like that. All right. So, Kabuki Kid's asking, any good new movies, TV shows, video games? So Great A's like Dune, Hades. Actually, I have heard Hades is pretty good. Started watching Upload last night. I watched the first episode of Upload, which is a Greg Daniels series. Greg Daniels did King of the Hill and The Office. I think he's probably best known for The Office. He did Space Force on Netflix, which a lot of people hated. And I was like, I thought it was all right. I mean, it wasn't like, oh my gosh, I'm laughing out loud like I did a lot of times watching The Office. I didn't think it was horrible. I didn't think it was as bad as some people thought. I think the critics disliked it more than viewers did. So Scott says, nobody wants his 80s and 90s stuff. Shoot me a list one of these days, Scott. Tell me what you got. I might be interested in picking some of the stuff up, just for nostalgia reasons, really. So Madman says that they looked on Amazon and the core book is going used for $99. I assume he's talking about the Wheel of Time for D&D. I love that the monolith vanished and a new one popped up. Aren't they on the third one? Didn't they have the third monolith show up? My gosh, it's the end of days. Anyway, so I started watching Upload. It seems pretty good. It seems all right. Like I said, only watched an episode. I was a little surprised that it was like a 45-minute episode, because I was thinking, oh yeah, it's 25 minutes, because it's on, what is it? It was on Amazon Prime, if I remember right. I think it's Amazon Prime or Apple Plus, one of the two. I don't know. So Kabuki Kid says, yes, another monolith appeared in California. Well, the second one that appeared, actually, you could see seams on it. So not as impressive as the first one. Anyway, all right. What is on the horizon? I should point out, I got some other reviews. I've got some Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, the adventure book, which is upstairs, and off the top of my head, I don't remember it. Don't remember the title. It was I think it's the Ubersreich adventures. So I've got that. I've got Falling Skies. I've got Lost Ruins of Arnak. Got a bunch of reviews heading your way. I'm trying almost one a day. I don't want every single day. Like today, I did not upload anything. I have some stuff shot, but I didn't upload anything. Just I don't want to spoil you people. Well, you people watching live or watching the show after the fact, you're not getting spoiled. It's the other folks who just pop by every once in a while and just take it for granted. It's like, oh yeah, well, everybody's got more than 1,000 videos. Did you know I actually have more than 1,000 videos on YouTube? Granted, we have 582 live streams, but that also means there's over 400 other videos that are not live streams. So it's like, all right. Ibram says, keep them hungry. A Great A's asking Flaming Huron if they own Mouse Guard. That's another role. Gotta be honest, the company that publishes well, I don't know if they still do. I don't know if it's still with them. But the company that initially published Mouse Guard and Burning Wheel, that's the other big one. I interviewed them at Gen Con one year. They asked me to go and interview them. Let's just say I wouldn't do it again. So anyway, like I said yesterday, I'm not somebody you want to F with. Just don't. Oh, something else I should mention. I've got a couple of big shipments showing up in the next couple of days. So I've got Dark Gate. What is it? Malus Maleficarium or something. And that is it's like with a bunch of minis. So it's from, gosh, I'm trying to remember the company's name. Dark Gate Games. And they liked the coverage I did for their vampire miniatures game. So they did a Kickstarter for this. So they're sending me basically the core game, the stretch goals, which it's like, wow, there's a lot of stretch goals for it. And I think that this add-on expansion, as well as a promo mini that they had. And I am thinking I might actually do a live show. We'll take a look at this stuff live, maybe next week. Maybe one of the episodes next week, we'll do a live unboxing and look at the minis, because there's loads of miniatures And if I remember correctly, I think the box is like 15 pounds. And that's fairly heavy for, board games with plastic miniatures. So, and then I also have another package coming from a company that I had talked about one of their games, and they're sending me a Kickstarter preview of their next game they're obviously going to kickstart, as well as a copy of the game that I had talked about. And it had this really long name on it. I don't recall exactly what it was. It was it was another game that's got miniatures though. It was like science fiction-ish. So anyway, so Abram says Mouse Guard didn't make it through the purge. Yes, Burning Wheel. Burning Wheel is, I don't know. Like I said, I've never seen it, but I've always heard that it's pretty crunchy. And if I remember correctly, it's produced as like a book, like a novel would be, as opposed to a game book. So it's a little light on the artwork. It's light on the like game kind of formatting that you're used to seeing in rule books. So I understand that it's not as easy to understand as it should have been, but I don't know. I have no idea. I know it's still kicking, and I know they had a new edition of it come out. So Flaming Heron says, no, they go for worlds or systems that they know. They have an older edition of Lord of the Rings and Lone Wolves D20 by Mongoose. Huh, cool. Yeah, Mongoose is kind of an odd company too. They were super cool and sent me the Traveler stuff. In fact, I still have to share my review for the one box set that they had sent me. I have just not had a chance to crack it open and take a peek. And of course, I am still taking a peek at the Foundry virtual tabletop. So I've been messing around with that, playing around with that a little bit. The lefty cup, right? Or if I try to, it's like, all right. That's it for this time out. Once again, let me remind you, if you like this video, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ding that bell, because it will not only let you know when The Dispatch airs live Monday through Thursday nights right here on YouTube, as I bring you the latest in tabletop gaming news. It'll also let you know when I upload other videos, such as my recent review of Mazes from 9th Level Games. And of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Everybody who hung out watching live, thank you very much. Always appreciate it. We had Mr. Eddie T as a first timer catching the chat live rather than on Memorex. Good to have had you on board, as well as everyone else who joined me tonight. And of course, I do know people don't have an opportunity to watch the show live. Appreciate anybody who watches after the fact, even if you're watching on Memorex. Thank you very, very much. And of course, as I wrap up all of my videos during this never-ending pandemic, I really do hope all of you out there are being smart and staying safe. See you tomorrow. Oh, you're still here. Well, if that's the case, if you'd like to subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel, by all means, click right here. And if you'd like to check out one of our recent live streams, click right up top. And if you want to roll the dice and see what the algorithm for YouTube recommends, click right here. And of course, thank you once again for watching. And gang, please stay safe and wear a mask.